Okay, so today's video features cookies for breakfast, a perfect schedule that died a slow and beautiful death, an unidentified object at work that defeated two brooms and a manager, and a small fire in the kitchen that nobody claims responsibility for. Let's get into it. I wake up at 10:30 to a completely empty house, quiet as a mouse, and I made myself a deal this morning. No phone for the first hour, just me, the real world, and whatever my brain does when it's not being spoon-fed content. And you know what my brain did? It cooked, because I remembered I have cookie dough in the fridge from last night. So I go full kitchen multitasker. Oven preheating to 375 for the cookies, pot of salted water heating up for the Goodles mac and cheese. Yes, cookies and mac and cheese. For breakfast. I'm an adult and no one was home to stop me. Quick food science corner. The dough was fridge cold, which probably changes how they bake, but the texture was solid last night, so I didn't touch the cook time. Fresh parchment paper, because the old sheet had been sitting out, and I don't gamble with mysterious bacteria. I rolled the dough, squished each ball down a little so the middles wouldn't stay raw, and in they went. Meanwhile, the noodles, box time left them a little too al dente, so 2 extra minutes and they hit the perfect tenderness. Butter, milk. There was an instant measuring the milk where there was a little too much milk, but I think I recovered it. Then I put the powder in, the smoky dokey. It was very good, but a little wet. Some heavy whipping cream next time. So, the beautiful thing was that the cookies finished exactly when the mac and cheese did. So I put the tray on the table, I flattened it out by hitting it on the table. So now I take the mac and cheese and a fresca to the den to watch something. My first attempt, a video reviewing a SpongeBob special. Guy opens with, "We all felt this way about these specials." We all? Speak for yourself, man. Think for yourself. Don't be assigning me opinions. Also, this little cartoon avatar looks like it was drawn during a moving car ride. I was out in about a minute. So instead, I finished the Red Letter Media episode from yesterday. And this thing had everything. Guys turning into chickens, a terrible movie with genuinely great fight choreography, and get this, the choreographers apparently went on to do The Matrix. The Matrix! From this! I love that. Humble beginnings. Everybody starts somewhere, and sometimes somewhere is a movie so bad it ends up on a pegboard show. As a guy trying to make stuff that's weirdly inspiring. Then the algorithm hands me an adult swim short called I'm the Main Character, starring a fish lady, and how could I not click that? It's this waitress fish going around with thinking everyone expects the highest of her, and she talks about her being the main character, and then it cuts to some other guy, like a beaver, land mammal of some kind, unclear, who also declares he's the main character, but somehow humbly? And then the orca whales show up and go, "No, we're all the main character." And everyone's like, "Wow, beautiful. They're the main characters." Anyway, I've been thinking about it all day, so mission accomplished, fish lady. Then things got dark for a minute. Dr. G, the forensic and body language guy, covering the Sarah Boone sentencing. And the fascinating part was watching someone trying to assert control in a situation where she had absolutely none. Rereading her old trial statements at her own sentencing, like the verdict wasn't already decided. Barely any remorse the entire time. Grim, genuinely interesting from a human behavior standpoint. And then, because it's the law now, the algorithm served me a fresh stack of PlayStation protest videos. Highlights, one titled something like, "Owning a PlayStation is a humiliation ritual," which incredible title, walking through the whole thing. You don't own your games, dynamic pricing, the works. And this fake law firm commercial for the Stop Killing Games movement with the best line of the bunch. When a company shuts down the servers and the disc only had installation files on it, what you own is an expensive coaster. That's it. That's the whole situation. Coasters. And then I did something a little weird. I rewatched my own video from last night. The Hoarder House one, but not in a doom scroll way. This time, I was actually looking for insight. Like, okay, past me, What are we going to do about the attention thing? And that's when I looked at the clock. 1:25. Work at 2 53. So I need to make a plan. So I sat down with Claude and I built an actual block schedule for the afternoon. Crush cans, then storyboard study, copying a SpongeBob storyboard into my notebook with notes about it, because if you want to make cartoons, you study the cartoons. Then reading The Illusion of Life, the big legendary Disney animation book. Then shower, then work. A perfect, beautiful machine of an afternoon. Now watch this machine get dismantled in real time. Can crushing. Success! Full marks. I even had an Area 52 video going in my headphones about some manuscript that supposedly lines up with a bunch of UFO reports. Great can crushing content. Mid-crush, my mom calls, and my earbuds have this feature where you nod your head to answer. I nodded. It hung up on her. So either I nod wrong or my earbuds have decided which calls I'm allowed to take now. Storyboard study. Done. Notes taken. Feeling smart. Then Illusion of Life. Starting strong, and then mom calls again. This time it connects, and we end up having this long, genuinely great conversation. Turns out she's been calling from the store to ask if I wanted anything, but by the time we actually connected, she was already out of the store. So the answer to "do you want anything" was structurally a no. Then she gets home, I help bring in all the groceries, and I look at the clock and I realize the shower has been eliminated from the schedule. The schedule ate the shower. Rest in peace, shower. Block, your sacrifice will be remembered. So I get dressed, pack my lunch kit, and I need to go fill up a carton of chips, as well as get an A&W Zero Sugar Root Beer, both destined to accompany a sub sandwich already waiting for me and work at the fridge in the break room. Then I walk in, smile and wave at everyone after I drive there. I go to the break room. A coworker stops me and offers me a leftover cinnamon roll. Obviously, yes, day officially blessed. Food goes in the fridge, vest goes on, straight to bagging, then sweeping, produce with what I can only describe as vigor. And that's when it begins. A guy stops me and says, "There's a weird object way up on the top of the meat department sign, and he wants it gone because he doesn't know what it is." Possibly kids throwing stuff, so I go grab a ladder, but a manager intercepts and takes over the mission. They get up there with a broom I fetched, and they tell me, direct quote, "Don't laugh if I fall." And I said I'd try to catch you, which I feel was the more helpful offer. They swing, the object dodges. They're not tall enough. Reinforcements arrive. A second coworker, a second broom. Except the second broom is the exact same length as the first broom. So tactically, we've gained nothing. And also, its bristles are wet, so now we're painting the area with dirty broom water, which we then have to wipe up with paper towels wrapped up around the dry broom. And after all that, all of it, the final result is that the object gets pushed further away, beyond the reach of any broom we own. So it's still up there, on the meat department sign, watching, waiting. This is an ongoing story, and I'll report back. Somewhere in there, a coworker roars at me and demands to see my best roar. So I give it a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and delivered a roar calibrated precisely loud enough to be funny, but not loud enough to alarm customers. People laughed. 10 out of 10 workplace moment. Then the glamour continues. Swept the break room, swept the floor, took orders out, and wrestled a leaking trash bag that dripped mystery fluid the whole way. So it was throw out trash, wipe the floor, living the dream. Lunch was a feast. 1/5 of the sub, my precisely weighed chips, the cinnamon roll, some free chocolate chip ice cream from the community freezer, and then I got ambitious and combined the ice cream with my zero sugar root beer in a makeshift root beer float. Fun? Yes. Messy? Also yes. Regrets? None. Lunch viewing was a video about the whole Sam Altman saga, how the board fired him from OpenAI, And then the backlash basically forced them to bring him back. And the detail that stuck with me, they celebrated his return with a party. The party had a smoke machine, and the smoke machine set off the fire alarms, which the video pointed out is almost too on the nose. The guy who got fired over throwing caution to the wind comes back, and the celebration itself triggers the alarms. You couldn't write it better. Closing shift, 4 stacks of paper bags hauled in, every check stand loaded to the brim, all of them wiped down, all while hopping over to bag for customers in between. Brought in the carts and signs, closed the produce blinds, and handled some genuinely cursed trash, including a cart of abandoned clothes that had achieved a texture I describe as greasy and sticky, which shouldn't be possible at the same time. Immediately hand washed. Uh, yeah. So I punched out, grabbed my bent go box and my storyboard book, and on the way out, my co-manager teases me, "You have keto today?" Because back in the day, I did a whole healthy eating video series, and I had to confess, no, the keto man is retired. Today, I had a cinnamon roll and an improvised root beer float. But maybe he comes back someday. Or maybe a Mediterranean man. We'll see. And then the finale. I got home, our family friend greets me, and I notice the stovetop is on. Open flame, nothing on it, nothing cooking, just fire vibing. Only in the kitchen. So I turned it off and asked our family friend, "Hey, did you use the stove last?" They said, "I don't think so. There was a fire and I turned it off." And they said, "Oh, I think it was me. Sorry, won't do that again." Case closed, I guess. The house didn't burn down, so we're calling it a win. And then I changed out of my work clothes and made this video. So let's tally the day. Cookies and mac and cheese, and then that's for breakfast. Then I went and messed up a call with my mom due to a terrible head nod. And then there was this whole meat department issue, then an unattended fire resolved. Honestly, pretty good day. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and take care.